Or evening or afternoon or night, dear teachers. So last time we ended here, wherein basically we had configured all our settings on this on our on the Zoom.us profile setting tab of meeting. So point being, now I want to walk you through setting up a meeting, editing it, and actually uh, you walk you through the whole hosting process. And now what you'll notice is all the settings that we did here will actually reflect when we're trying to host our first meeting. So I'll delete this previous meeting that I made as a trial. I'll go to home. This is like the Zoom application interface on desktop. I'll click on schedule. I'll name this meeting whatever I want. For example, I call it eSpice. I make this recurring and I choose to generate automatically, and I can change the password to my need. For example, if I call it DPSN, I actually also put in Noida, right? I'll make my host video on, like I usually keep it off, and participants video should be off, and host should be on. My bad. Audio should be telephone and computer, and calendar. I honestly don't really like to use a calendar integration. If you do, you want to use one, you can choose with you can go with whichever one you want. Now going to advanced options, like our waiting room is enabled from the last video, like from the settings that we put in place in the last video. Join before host is off. Mute participants on entry is on. Automatically record meetings on the local computer. Here I'm putting it off because I don't really want to put this on, well, YouTube, at least this. But usually I guess it would be a good option to record your meetings and then put them on YouTube in an unlisted format for students who miss the class by chance to be able to attend, or have a look at what happened in class. So finally, I click on schedule. Before I do that, just a quick word. Over here, I clicked on generate automatically, and I went to the recurring meeting, and I'm not choosing to make a new meeting every single time. Logically speaking, there are three possible options. You can choose to make a new meeting every single time before class, or you can choose to have the same meeting ID but just change the password and share that password. Or lastly, you can just choose to have the same password and the same meeting ID for every single class. Honestly speaking, I prefer the lattermost option. That is to use the recurring meeting option, because in my opinion, if the feature exists, one should use it. And the main reason for the hacks that took place is because we didn't have a password in place. So moving forward, I'm going with the recurring meeting and a fixed password for all the meetings. Now I scheduled, and I can copy the invitation, but I won't really be using it, so I'll close it up. I'll go to the meetings tab. Now if I want to change any details, I can click on edit, and for example, if I want to make it eSpice1, I can change that, and I can save it. Next we go to starting the meeting. I will quickly start the meeting, and here we go. Sorry. So sorry, I was disturbed there for a minute. So I'll quickly stop my video and I'll click on mute. Actually, I'll click on mute. Now I want to show three things quickly that I talked about in the last video. That is chat settings, screen share, and virtual background. For chat, you can choose to configure who students can talk to, or who attendees can talk to. That is to no one, or only the host privately, or to everyone publicly, or to everyone publicly as well as privately to other students. I prefer the lattermost, so I'm going to go with that. Next is screen share. If by chance, for example, in CS class we come across this situation a lot, that the teacher wants students to share their screen. So in that case, what you do is you click on this arrow like thing near screen share. It's called caret for technical purposes, but just moving on. I go to advanced sharing options, and under the who can share, I go to all participants, and I make who can start sharing when someone else is sharing only host. The last most is very important, because if by chance you make it all participants can choose to override the screen, like the screen being showed when you're projecting your screen to other students. So just make sure to keep the last most option to only host. Last is a virtual background. Like, the thing is, the virtual background won't really work on my laptop because, well, my laptop is not meant, like, it just doesn't work on my laptop. But if you want to, you can go to your stop video, like near the video icon, you have this arrow thingy again, and you choose virtual background. This is work. I work with this on my tablet. It's worked well. It should also work on your phones, and maybe if your laptop works, then it should be fine. It won't work here. For example, if I click on this, like, I get an error, but it'll work in other cases. So yeah, like, it's a feature that exists. If you want to use it, it might help. Just wanted to put that out there. Now next, I'm going to be joining the meeting. from a different device. So I'll just open my invite. I'll copy URL. If you want to send the invitation to students, you can do so. I'll quickly copy paste it here, and I log in from a different device. Just give me a second here. Join. The ID is 7835396999. Okay, and I join. I am asked for a password. I put DPS Noida and I continue. Oh wait, I got the password wrong. My bad. Oh, yeah, it is DPS Noida. DPS Noida. Okay, so now I'm into the meeting. So yeah, so now we get notification saying Rahul Tandon has entered the waiting room for this meeting. Also, I like because I made a different account. I'll call the second Rahul Tandon account as Rahul Tandon too. All right. So this is the waiting room. Now from here, I can choose to admit students or if by chance I notice somebody new, I can choose to remove them. In this case, I'll admit students. A note to put out there: when you have more than one students in the waiting room, near the message icon, you should see an option that's like, from what I remember, you should see an option near the message icon that says admit all, which will really save your time in terms of having to manually click admit again and again. It's a much more efficient option. So I admit the second Rahul Tandon over here, and he's joined the meeting. Now I want to talk about four things: how to lock a meeting, how to remove participants, how to move participants to the waiting room as a timeout, and how to disable audio and video students. So I'll start in the same order. If you want to lock a meeting, you go to manage participants, to the more option, and lock meeting. Alternatively, you can also unlock meeting. Now, locking a meeting refers to, like when you lock a meeting, no new participants, regardless of whether or not they have the correct ID and password, can join, as in they can't join anymore. Next is, how do you move participants to the waiting room? For example, if some student is misbehaving and you don't want to kick them out of the meeting permanently, but you just want to give them a timeout, in that case scenario, this might come in handy. So you can again click on the participants tab, search for the student. Like if when there are so many students that they fill in this tab, you have the option to search for students. So for example, in this case, I want to move Rahul Tandon too because he's been misbehaving. I want to move him to the waiting room. Now in the waiting room, Rahul Tandon too, he can't really neither can he see nor hear any audio or video from from the meeting going on. Right now I'm gonna admit Rahul Tandon too back in. Next is the ability to disable audio and video. So I'm just waiting for Rahul Tandon to join again. Now he's joined. Now if I want Rahul Tandon if I want him to start his video, I can click on more, ask to start video. At this point, you get a notification saying the host has asked you to start your video. You click on OK and the video starts. Right, so this is my hand on top around here. So cool. Similarly, I can also ask him to unmute. So if I do join audio, just give me a second. Yeah, so in cases when audio is available, I can choose to enable it. So I can unmute Rahul. So now Rahul can speak, but there's an echo, so I'm going to skip that. I can mute him, and I can stop his video. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna. All right, that works. Oh, just give me a second. Yeah, all right, sorry. So if I want to, I can also mute all participants in one go, which would be like, it should go like this. For example, like click on mute all. Now you must make sure to allow participants to unmute themselves. It is pretty important, right? Because otherwise, if you mute participants and they can't join, that means that if they want to speak, well, they can't speak. So we're going to quickly click. I want to quickly click continue. If I want to unmute all, I can do the same, and you get the hang of it. I'm just going to mute myself in the meeting. Okay. So what's left? I talked of locking the meeting. I talked of removing participants to the waiting room. Sorry, moving them to the waiting room. Lastly, for example, if Rahul Tandon has been acting very like, if I want, like, okay, let's say Rahul Tandon 2 is an attacker or a hacker. I want to remove him from the meeting permanently. So I'll click on remove, and that will happen. It's pretty elegant. So we had lock meeting, remove participant, then like moving participants to the removing participants to the waiting room. So ideally, you should only be removing participants in the extreme case that you see an attacker or somebody that you're unfamiliar with. But if students have been acting, if they've been misbehaving, in that case, you just want to put them on a timeout in the waiting room. Lastly, I also talked to disabling audio and video, which I think was which I think was fine. And I think that's all. If you have any doubts or questions, please do inform me. That will be all for for both these videos. Hopefully, I helped you out. If you have any questions, put my contact information in the document. And I hope you teachers enjoyed this. And thank you so much, dear teachers, for learning this new piece of software. Thank you.